God specifically gave Adam and Eve this command to be fruitful and multiply because I believe they are designed to take dominion together and to rule over much. Okay, these are 5 talent people, or at least, multiple talent people. If you're familiar with the parable of the talents, I believe those that carry this Adam and Eve prototype are designed to handle many things. In scripture, God told them to have dominion over the fish of the sea and of the fowl of the air. Notice God didn't assign them to manage just the whales or, just the egos. No, they were given dominion over all that was in that sector. Just like the parable in scripture about the talents, the ones that were in obedience and doing what the Lord had designed for them to do. They took what they had, and what did they do? They multiplied it. And so you see, the Adam and Eve prototype is designed to manage multiple things. They're not like the Boaz and Ruth prototype, or even the Xerxes and Esther prototype, where there is really just one main kingdom assignment. Boaz redeemed Ruth and her land, and basically King Xerxes redeemed Esther's people. And that was it. No, the Adam and Eve prototype has an ongoing assignment that is multiplied while they are together. This is a team. Eve was created like Adam, for Adam, to build and multiply with Adam. And if you carry this Eve prototype, you can feel that. You can feel on the inside of you this pull, this desire to build with your man. No matter what level of success you have reached on your own, deep down, you don't want to do it by yourself. Why? Because the potter designed you for partnership. And so I'm going to, in this podcast, share with you what happens to an Adam prototype if he decides to try and be fruitful without his missing rib, as well as what happens to Eve if, again, Adam chooses to rebel against his design, but she is still choosing obedience to the potter's plan. Let's begin. Now, this Adam prototype by design is not created to be alone. So this isn't the Paul prototype, where the potter designed this man to walk in his purpose as a single person, okay? We're not talking about the Paul prototype. And now I think it's also important to mention that, likewise, this isn't the David prototype, which means Adam was not created to have a bunch of women. No, Adam was, by the potter's plans, created to be with one woman, okay? Not multiple wives. One is good for this man, okay? One good thing is good enough. And so this woman has within her design all this man needs. Now, this brings us to the question of, what does the Adam prototype need? Well, for one, he needs companionship. That's the first reason God created Eve. It was so this man wouldn't be alone. It was because it wasn't good for this man to be alone. And so the warmth, the closeness, the companionship of Eve is the first thing this man needs. And notice, this is a specific kind of companionship because Adam had other creatures around him. So he wasn't necessarily alone per se in the garden, but you see, he was alone by God's standard. Okay. And so that man may have other family relationships, friendships, work relationships, etc., but none of those can take the place of the companionship that God has deemed as good for him. It is his counterpart that constitutes in God's eyes as him no longer being alone. Okay, by design, Adam is missing a rib. This prototype is literally missing a part of him, and he can try to fill that missing piece of him with more work, more women, more things, but none of that is the right fit. None of that is designed to be in that place. And yes, just like, I mentioned about the Eve, if this man is an Adam, I believe he will feel that missing part. No matter how much he tries to, overlook it or wish it away, it's going to gnaw at him because he was designed to have his counterpart. He will have this longing, this itch on the inside that he just can't seem to scratch. And so this is the first thing that this man needs. The second thing is he needs a woman's help. I know some men and their pride won't let them acknowledge that they need their woman, but this Eve prototype is created to help the Adam prototype. Now, this doesn't mean she comes along and is doing the heavy lifting and bears, the same weight as Adam. No, she's not a work mule. She is not a slave for him. She is a help to him. And she is capable of meeting whatever the need is. Why? Because she was built just like him and for this purpose of being able to meet the need. And so there is a certain kind of help that God had in mind for this man that only Eve can give. Okay, so an assistant can't meet that need. Some employees can't meet that need. Some hired helpers are still not going to meet the need that God specifically designed and created Eve to meet. And so this Adam prototype is designed to only go so far without his companion and without his help, because the potter clayed Adam and Eve this way. They are designed to subdue the earth together. Adam had gone as far as he could go alone, and he had established what God gave him, and he had done a good job. He had taken it to the highest level of success that he could reach on his own. And in order to go to the next level, he was going to need help. And now Eve, let me just throw this in here for good measure, because I know how us women can be. Now, you're there. You're sent to help, okay? You're not coming in to take over, all right? He doesn't need a woman with a takeover spirit. He needs a woman that can come in and help where he needs. And so a man who is refusing his missing rib, wandering around in the field trying to supply his need. I'm reminded of the scripture where Paul says, "But my God shall supply all of your need according to his riches and glory." Have you guys ever heard of that joke where a person is, stranded in the water and they're praying to God to send them help, and one boat comes by to try to help them, and they're like, "Oh, no, I'm waiting on God." And then another boat, a big boat, comes by and is like, "Hello, can we help you?" And they're like, "No, I'm waiting on God." And then I don't know, eventually I guess the person just drowns in the ocean, and they get to God and they're like, "God, I prayed for help." And God is like, "I sent you help," but that's the thing. Sometimes we have this idea in our mind, but that's not part of what the potter has planned. Okay. God is designed to supply these specific needs, the need for companionship, the need for help for his Adam through Eve. Okay, so the need for companionship, the need for help. If that Adam is trying to supply that need in any other way with anything or anyone other than his Eve, he will at best only find a temporary GMO substitute, because that again is not what the potter has designed and planned for Adam. Because God's plan is for Adam and Eve to build together, to build whatever the various things they end up building. They're designed to do it together. Now, I believe some of the issue comes in when a person believes they found their match and then something happens to prove to them that this, in fact, is not the person. This, in fact, is not your Adam. It's not your Eve. And I believe one clear sign that this is a GMO Eve or Adam, it's a counterfeit Eve or Adam, is that one or both of the parties decide to call it quits. Okay? Or one party knows that we're not just right for each other. Because the Adam and Eve prototypes mirror each other. They're like twins almost, like how twins are alike in all these different ways, and yet they have their own fingerprint, right? God created a suitable match for Adam, a woman that was just right for him, a woman that would complement him in such a way. And so Adam and Eve, they share that oneness. All right. There's going to be a oneness, a similarity, even in their stories before they were brought together in the field, in their separate seasons, their experiences with God separate from each other, there will be similarities. There will be things that mirror each other. Why? Because the oneness has already been established before the season of them coming together. This thing is written in the stars. Okay, they are one, and not just all of a sudden one. When he takes her unto himself, they were one since before the foundations of the world. The oneness was already again written in their story before they stepped into time. And so coming together consummates it. It confirms it. It's the manifestation of the oneness that was already there in the spirit. And that's the thing, when it's not what the potter has designed, no matter how much you try to make it fit, it won't, because that's not the person that's just right for you. And so if one of the parties decides to be rebellious against the potter, and in this case, I'm using Adam as the example, if, he's the clay that's trying to tell the potter, why this other woman should be his Eve, and wanting, to either change himself or try to change this other woman so that they can be a suitable match, making another Eve his match instead of perceiving the Eve that's right in front of him. And now, again, this is to say that this Adam has been obedient thus far and is actually in the right field where the Lord has purposed to present the woman to him. And I talk a little bit about this in one of my other videos. And so, but if he's choosing to not take that Eve, the Eve that is the one created and designed for him, then I believe the Lord will still stick to the plan, and he will allow that Adam to lose his Eve to another Adam. And if that happens, that's a challenging situation. It's not something easy to go through, but what's so incredible is that this is the God who always has a ram in the bush. This is the God that never leaves himself without a witness, right? This is the God who goes before you to make the crooked path straight, to raise up the valleys and bring down the mountains. This is the God that prepares the way for you. And so if you're Eve, you may have to go ahead and, mourn over the one who at one point was chosen, but because of disobedience and wanting to do it his own way, has now been rejected by God. And I hear God saying to some of you, he's saying, how long will you mourn over Saul, knowing that I have rejected him? And so I believe the Lord will continue with the plan, and he may develop new interests in Eve. He may call her to do something different in the field, he may pique her interest in something. This could look like Eve getting a different degree, or changing her major, or, picking up this new hobby, or starting a nonprofit, whatever it looks like. But the Lord will cause Eve to not only be in the place to be found, but to be equipped in the field with whatever she needs that will prepare her to be just right for the Adam who is indeed walking in obedience to God. A man who, like Jesus, has decided, not my will, Father, but your will be done. Not what I think. Who am I as the clay to tell the potter how it should be? No, I want the potter's plan. I want what you have ordained for me, because I know it is good. It is perfect. And so I believe God will again stick to the plan if this is the situation that happens, and he will allow Eve to be paraded at the location at the appointed time in front of a man who is ready to perceive her when the Lord presents her to him.